Hey everybody, my name is Edidiong Chris Obote, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Constance Carter, who is one of our TEDxAlief speakers. We're so excited to hear a lot about you because I think your industry is like a hot button industry, right? Especially right now during this pandemic. A lot of people are trying to figure out how they can buy, how can they invest, how can they tap in. So I'm really excited to hear more about you. So just to kind of kick it off and give you the first question, why did you decide to go into real estate?
Well, I was 23 when I bought my first house. I got married, had a baby, and then we decided to buy a house. My daughter was just a few months old when we purchased our first home. And it was probably the best and most exhilarating experience and the absolute worst experience of my life.
Wow.
Somebody convinced us that we can buy, and we were in a position to buy, but the agent that we had just really didn't look out for our best interest, and just a lot of things went bad. And so what I wanted to do, well, after, I started helping other people, my family, after that, getting the homes, because nobody in my family owned houses. And so now, everyone in my family owns a home or three, everybody's an investor, but I wanted to take that experience, and I didn't want anybody to have to go through what I went through, but I also wanted to show people that it was possible. I'm 23, young, no college education, no college degree, just married, just hardworking. And I wanted to show people that it was possible for them to be able to do the same thing. So that's been my mission ever since. I just wanted to help people, and I've managed to turn that help into an entire career. And so I've been just really grateful for the opportunity to do that.
Wow. First of all, that's inspiring.
Thank you.
Just because you have a lot of people who are at different points in their lives that, like you said, for you were just newlywed, just had a baby, now you're expanding the family, you need a bigger space.
Right.
And so oftentimes people who go through different transitions in life, they kind of either are apprehensive of, going through that process because they hear of different woes and challenges and things like that go in that process. So that kind of, goes to my next question. I mean, so you've mentioned, before that real estate, the industry, was not systematically designed, right, to see you win.
Yeah.
So tell us more about, some of those challenges that you've had in the industry, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, just in general, systematically for us as African Americans or just minorities in general in this country, it's just been, real estate is one of the major ways that you can generate wealth. 80% of wealth in this country is generated through real estate. 90% of it is passed intergenerationally. And so if you look at, historically, we African Americans could not buy homes in certain areas because they had redlining. Right. So we couldn't build wealth in that way. Then you had, once we could buy houses, then you had predatory lending. Right. And if you look at Wells Fargo, just got sued a few years ago because they were doing bad loans to minorities. And so there were all of these challenges that have been put in our place. And that's the reason why the wealth gap is so wide. That's the reason why you have, 70% of white households own houses, and only 40% of, African-American and Hispanic households that actually own homes. And so there's this huge disparity, but it was because of, systemic racism and the things that were put in place that prevented us to be able to do so. And so they're saying in 2053, our wealth is going to be at zero. Our net worth is going to be at zero as African Americans, and then Hispanics are not far behind, right?
Wow.
The way we generate wealth, the quickest way and the fastest way to generate wealth is through real estate. And so our goal is to really just make it palatable for everybody, for all walks of life. Like if you go to my website, I show that, I show the disparities on our Catalyst real estate website. We show that, only 43% of African-American households, and where Asian households are in home ownership, and where white household and Hispanic households. But our mission is to make home ownership available to everyone from all walks of life, not just minorities, because I own the largest African-American owned real estate firm in California. We're African-American owned, but not African-American only. So our focus is not just for us. We want to just bridge the gap and close the wealth gap and make home ownership equitable for everybody across the board. And, that's the only way that we can really survive and thrive as a nation, is if it's good for everybody and not just for a certain few. And that's just kind of been the thing that this country was built on, is just, for a select few. And we won't be around very long as a nation if we continue to steadily do things in that way. And so we're just trying to do our part.
Wow. That's, first of all, kudos to you for having the largest firm in California, African American owned.
Yes,
You know,
ma'am.
don't have a lot of those.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious, right? When it comes to your company, as it relates to real estate, is it all kinds of real estate? Is it just homes? Is it commercial? Is it land ownership? What exactly in regards to real estate do you guys help, people in regards to, activating that wealth and even just
Yeah.
investing and being able to say, I own something?
Yeah, we do all. So we do residential. I own some commercial property. We do commercial, we do land, we do whatever they want. But really the thing about it is, in most traditional real estate companies, most traditional agencies is they're about the sales, they're about the numbers, right? We're gonna call 100 people, we're gonna get 10 appointments, we're gonna make 2 deals. That's not how we operate, and I've never operated in that way. And so our thing is, we're going to help this person, right? And then we're going to help them develop their wealth portfolio. So right now, you're going to buy this house. It's going to be your first home. But we're going to sit down and counsel with you and say, this is your 3-year plan or your 2-year plan. Now we're going to get some investment properties. So we're helping them to create their wealth portfolio. Then we're saying, okay, let's talk to your mama now. And then let's talk to your cousin then. And let's talk to your auntie then. We want everybody in your family to be able to develop a wealth plan that sustains you far beyond this one transaction. So it's not just about this one transaction. We try to put you in a house. Now we go on to the next one. Oh, you want to buy something else? I'll call us later. No, we stay with them to develop something more that they can, that they're able to really build wealth from. So that's kind of how we look at it.
Wow. So, man, first of all, I appreciate that because it's not, like you said, it's not a one-time transaction.
Yeah.
It's multiple transactions. And that's how you're able to build that generational wealth that a lot of people are always trying to like get into, but just kind of like, I need to do this, I need to do that. And it just kind of starts with, like you said, your company sits down, actually takes the time and creates a plan for you, as opposed to just, oh, thank you for buying that house and I get my commission. So I appreciate, just your company being able to do above and beyond.
Thank you.
So I'm going to kind of switch a little gears here.
Okay.
So I was reading through your bio and just kind of learning more about you. And you mentioned that you had to file bankruptcy.
Yes.
And so, for people, bankruptcy is different things. It's usually seen as a negative thing. But I'm just curious, I want to know, filing bankruptcy, is really not an easy process. There's so many things that goes into it. And there's so many misconceptions about it. So tell me, first of all, what was your experience as a person who went through bankruptcy? And then how does this relate to building wealth?
That's a good question. Ooh, I like that. So my bankruptcy, it was probably, in my book, I talk about, this was the worst time of my life. Girl, it was the best time of my life. I'm telling you something. Because I was really young when I started real estate, and I started making a lot of money really quickly. So 23 when I bought my house, but I was 26 when I got into real estate. Started making a bunch of money. So first year I made $70,000. After that, I've never made under $100,000 in real estate. I've just been blessed, right? Because it's just all it's God, but it's all in the way that I did my business. It was really about helping people. It wasn't just about being transactional, but being transformational. That was really important for me. And so made money, a lot of money. So I'm making $250,000 a year. And I had more month than money, right? I got cars and, now I need to buy some houses. Now I need to do this. And then it's in like the foreclosure crisis, like all that, right? So it's 2008. And I can't, they looking for my car. Repo man looking for my car. I had foreclosed on one of my rental properties. I had to short sell another rental property. Like it was just all bad. And I remember going to the fair, I have my husband and my 4 kids, and I couldn't even buy a day pass for my kids to ride the rides all day at the fair. That's when I knew, like, okay, something's got to give. And so I walked into the bankruptcy court, and now, mind you, I still made a lot of money. So when you go into bankruptcy court, it's relatively a quick process. They go in there, and everybody's in there because it's 2008, and everybody named mama filing bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. So they're in and out in 30 seconds. Boom, boom. The judge or whatever, the magistrate or whatever they call him, he grills me for like 15 minutes. It felt like 2 hours, right? Because they're seeing my bank statements, they're seeing all this money coming in, and I have to account for it, and I have to explain. And so I'm explaining, I'm doing all this stuff. And I remember, he said, okay, finally he was okay, we good. And I walk out, my attorney was there, and she was like, I was so scared for you. She was like, you did so good. And so I was like, man, because when I walked in there, the sky was gloomy, the clouds were gray. But when I walked up out of that mug, like the sun was shining, the skies was blue, the clouds. I mean, it was just beautiful. And so what I did after that is I took, my lessons, my hardships. Like I learned my lesson. I ain't gonna do it no more, Lord. I ain't gonna do it no more. So I took that. And so I said, you know what? My credit score was like shot, 379 credit score, wrote a book, keeping score. It was become a bestseller. Now, I never had a desire to become an author. I promise you. I was just, somebody just told me to write a book, and I'm the type, nobody works harder than Constance Carter. So I stay in the office all day. First one in, last one out. I left work like at 3:00, which was super early for me. Like if I come home and it's daytime, my kids are like, why are you home so early? Like, it's like 6. What do you mean? So I left the office like 3:00, went home, and I wrote pretty much the skeleton framework of the book, and then just kind of had an editor and just kind of edited it for about a month, and I came out with it, and it became like an Amazon bestseller, which I was super surprised. But it's just I've been able to help so many people, and then I wrote a book called The Secret to Breaking the Broke Code. And I just took my experiences, I took my hardships, and I just believe that we should use our hardships as a blueprint to help other people. So I just took the things that I went through, the mistakes that I made, the trials and tribulations. Yeah, I filed bankruptcy, even making $250,000 a year. So I'm dumber than the person who makes, $25,000, $30,000 a year. They're not dumb if they have money in the bank, because it don't matter how much money you got in the bank. It matters how much money you make, and matters how much money you got left over at the end of the day. I ain't had nothing. So the Repo Man came. I remember because my assistant Glenda, she been riding with me for the last 13 years. And I remember when the people for the Repo called from my Mercedes, and she was like, hey, I think the Repo people calling you. And so I got on the phone. I was like, don't get the car now. I'm gonna leave it in the parking lot. You come get it tonight. I mean, you just crazy, but I'm so thankful because I've been able to help so many people because of the stupid stuff that I did,
right?
Crazy mistakes that I made, that I've been able to help other people, and they know, like, she's been through it. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth, so I've been through the fire, and I could, and I don't take where I am for granted right now, because I know anything could happen and I could be wiped away. So I'm just really I'm grateful, and it's it's all in fun. I can laugh at it now, but so that smoke is still not far from my behind, so it keeps me grounded. You know what I mean? Right. So I just took that, those mistakes, and just use them as a blueprint, and to build the wealth, and then just helping other people, because I think it was Zig Ziglar said that if you can help other people to become successful, then you too then can be successful. And so I just live my life just helping other people to do the same.
Wow. So you guys have heard this. She is a wealth activator.
Yeah.
She's a bestseller.
Yes.
I mean, she's a CEO.
Yes, ma'am.
She's out here doing. She is it.
Right.
So I'm curious, right? There, like I said before, right now is a time where people who have it are trying to find ways to reinvest in their community, or buy investments, flip homes, beautify it, get involved in some kind of real estate way. So I'm just kind of curious, what is your take on trying to, I guess in a sense, back in Houston, they have a young guy who was doing a buy the block. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. So I'm curious, where you are with your real estate company. Is that something that you guys are looking towards to do, is buying the block back and trying to take over that gentrification, just because now you have the tools, the skills, the education, and like you said, the experience in buying land, buying homes, and even helping other people do that. So what is your take on trying to buy that block back, or even just kind of get, take the bull right by the horn in terms of gentrification?
Mm-hmm. That's extremely, extremely, extremely important. Actually, I started an investment group, and it's called North Cal Investment Group, and that's exactly what we're doing. So it's just people who just wanted to invest and pull their funds together, people who believe in, what I do is about 20 of us, but people who believe in the mission that I've had in talking about being, the lender and not the borrower,
right,
the investor, not the consumer, living with that mindset. And so some of the things that we are doing is we're investing in real estate, but we're investing in other types. So it's going to be like we're investing in hair care, and we're investing. There's just so many things that we're doing, but because it's important to be diverse in your investments, and that's one of the reasons why people get caught up, is because they have all their eggs in one basket.
Right.
The bottom drops out of that market, then you're just caught holding the bag. And so that's why we're looking at multiple things. So buying the block, absolutely, that's part of our plan. I look at gentrification a little bit differently, though. I have a friend that's out in Houston. His name is Trey the Truth. I don't know if you
right. Yeah,
they're doing it right. One of the things he's doing is he's buying homes to stop the gentrification. He's buying homes that these people are losing. And I said, brother, we got to go one step further, not just buying the homes, but we have to educate people, right? Because if you're putting a Band-Aid on the problem, so to speak. You're doing great. That's a great work, because now you're keeping people in the communities and all that, but now we need to educate the people on how to maintain and keep the homes so that they can build wealth for themselves. And so that's also an important piece to it. So yeah, we want to, keep homes or keep properties from being, or neighborhoods from being gentrified, but we got to educate our people on why it's important.
Right.
Because, they liar, gentrifier and all that stuff. And they get mad at these white people because you sold your home to these people.
Right.
You sold grandmama and them home, and then now you mad because they came in and they saw the value of something that you didn't see the value in. So it's up to us to go back and teach our people, hey, no, hold on to that. Yeah, they're gonna get what they can, because that's the nature of capitalism. But we have to be smart enough to hold on and then start educating our folks so that they can make smart choices.
Wow. I mean, so I just want to ask you, as an author of 5 different books, ranges from credit to, multiple streams of income, like we talked about, what is one piece of advice that you would give somebody during this pandemic time, who is trying to activate their wealth?
Ooh. I would say let's get one skill set and let's become an expert at it. Right. I was just talking to someone a minute ago, and we were talking about, because I really encourage my agents to have multiple revenue streams. The Bible says that you should. It's the Bible. Ecclesiastes 12:2 says you should have 7. Then it says no 8 revenue streams in case a disaster strikes the land. Where we at right now? Disaster district, right? So we all should have multiple revenue streams, period. But like your revenue streams should be in alignment. Because I was just talking, like I have somebody who's like doing something that they're trying to do real estate full time, right? Then they're trying to do a daycare full time, and they trying to do this full time. Like that's almost they're kind of conflicting, right? Because you can't successfully do those. These are 2 monsters, right?
Right.
Get good at one thing, and then allow that thing. Because like when I'm talking about getting other revenue streams, I got good at real estate. Now I have other people that can kind of do what I did. Now I can go branch off on other things. So I have a co-working space. I bought a beautiful, one of the largest the only Black-owned co-working space in Sacramento, where it's an event center. But we just bought it, and then COVID happened, and then our grand opening was March 1st, and we were shut down in 2 weeks. So we really didn't get to do anything with it. But we have an event center, we have classrooms, we have a podcast studio, we have all these things, right? I can now focus on doing some things over there because my real estate company is kind of taken care of, right? And then I'm an investor in a marijuana dispensary, right? So that that's just passive income that I'm just able to collect, right? That's just cash coming in. But it was because I was able to take my money, because 10 years ago when I filed bankruptcy, I ain't had no money to do nothing like that, because every little bit of money that came in, it went out.
Right.
Now I have a little bit of extra money, so when opportunities come and I'm able to invest in things, I can do that. But just get really good at one thing, then you can do something else. Then you can expand to something else. But don't try to like do a bunch of stuff, have a bunch of hustles, and then now you're not good at anything. Right? Get good then expand. But definitely, in order to really create wealth, sustainable wealth, you have to have multiple revenue streams. Don't have all your eggs in one basket, for sure.
Okay. Well, you guys have heard it. She is the wealth activator, best-selling author, CEO. I mean, just the list goes on. So make sure you guys tune in on September the 5th, TEDxAlief, and you're going to hear more about real estate, wealth, and a whole bunch of other different things that she has experience on. So I'm excited to hear her talk. Make sure you get your tickets. Again, my name is Edidiong Interviews, and it was a pleasure to interview you, Ms. Carter.
It was a pleasure being on here. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem.